you struggling to make your first 100K or next? Are you pretending you're successful but barely getting by? Are you tired of comparing yourself to millionaires and billionaires who make it look so easy? Welcome to First 100K, the #1 entrepreneur voice in America. I talk about the important things that no one else is talking about, like how to make your first $100,000, because I believe this is where 90% of entrepreneurs get stuck. And I tackle the mental game of entrepreneurship that we all secretly struggle with but won't admit. My guests are successful entrepreneurs who share their mistakes, their #1 fears, their daily habits, and their superpowers that push them over the 100K mark. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a 10-time failed entrepreneur and the owner of 2 co-working spaces here in Tampa, Florida. This show was created for you, the entrepreneur who's pushing to break through the elusive 100K milestone. Wherever you are in your business, you're just 100K away. Do you wish growing a business was easier? Are you feeling frustrated that it's taking so long to make your first 100K? I used to feel the same way until I discovered the one thing that was missing. It wasn't more marketing tips or strategies. It wasn't reading more business books, and it wasn't learning more stuff. I could show you what's holding you back and blocking your success if you like. Typical side effects include higher income, peace of mind, loving relationships, real connection with God, freedom from addictions, purpose, fulfillment, and a brand new lifestyle. It all starts by scheduling a spiritual clarity call with me to get clarity on what you want right now in your life and to see if we want to work together. Visit josephwarren.net/possibilities to learn more. That's josephwarren.net/possibilities. Today, my featured client is Cori Willis, and you can find her at CoriWillis.com. That's CORI Willis.com. Cori is a strategy consultant and coach. She partners with Christian entrepreneurs and their companies to build custom business models and strategies around their unique strengths and God-given gifts. This isn't ordinary. She's really working in both the spiritual and the business plane and bringing them together. I think this is the wave of the future. I think a lot of people are wrestling with leaving their faith, leaving God outside of their business. So the conversation, this narrative, I think is becoming widespread. She's also the creator of the Gifts Assessment Wheel and the Principles of Profit Business Assessment Tool. Since retiring from a career in law and finance, she's become a best-selling author, speaker, entrepreneur, and sought-after strategic partner. She believes that if you are called to do something and you're still struggling to do it, or you're feeling unfulfilled while doing it, you just likely haven't found the right business model. So let's get into that with Cori. Again, you can find her at CoriWillis.com. Cori, welcome to the show. Go ahead and share something personal about you. There are very few people in your business life actually know.
Oh, well, hello, Joseph. I think you got me with this question last time too. Let me see. People don't know about me. Yikes. I'm pretty much an open book.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to give context to my audience. So Startup Nation, Cori was on my other podcast, Broken Catholic. That's what she's referring to. And we spoke very much about her spirituality, her faith journey, and how much that's a part and integrated into her business. So that's really who she speaks to. She realized that that's her calling, is to speak with other Christian business owners and to not shy away from the faith conversation. And it doesn't have to be all about profits. It can also be about spirituality as well. So Cori, I gave you some time. I stalled you there. So what do you got? Something personal about you very few people in your business life know.
That I am a fiercely competitive ping pong player.
Oh my gosh. You did not share that on the other show. I will whoop you, girl. Challenge accepted. Let's do it.
Do you have a ping pong table in your new house, first of all?
No, I do not.
Okay, because you know you're only a quick jump on I-4 away from me, so.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
You let me know when.
Well, I'll come up to your table and we'll give you home turf advantage. Yeah.
So I'll tell you something about ping pong. When I was in my 20s, before I got married, I always um, made my dates take me to play ping pong because you can learn everything you need to know about a man by the way he plays ping pong.
Oh, darn it. That's like a whole other conversation right
Yes,
there.
it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, I know that, when I was dating before I got married, and yes, Startup Nation, I am newly married and about to go to honeymoon in Santorini, Greece. And so looking forward to it. God really blessed me with the woman of my dreams. But before that, I would really, when I took girls out, I would always want to see how do they handle sports and competition and fun activities, because it's so revealing, to your point, Cori. If
Yep.
people can't handle losing well, it comes out when you play a game with them. And that normally means that they won't be able to handle problems when you face problems in your life and your marriage. And
Hmm.
I really want to see that up front, those red flags. So,
And
all right.
sometimes people can't handle winning either. So,
That's true.
yeah.
Like they gloat. Yeah, look at
Yeah.
me. What's up? Like, okay, your ego's a little too big for our relationship.
Yeah. Next.
Next. All right, let's get into the money game. My audience loves context, Cori.
Okay.
Uh, Approximately how much gross revenue did your business do in the past 12 months?
So my business comprises multiple businesses, but I think you're specifically asking about the coaching.
Yes.
And I can tell you for a host of reasons, and we can get into this.
Mhm.
I made in 2018 nothing
What?
for a host of reasons. So I made. Let me take that back. I would say I made maybe about $10,000, and where that came from was I had this little funnel running, selling this little $37 product. Um, it was a horrible funnel. I mean, it was the world's worst funnel, but it still sold a couple copies a week.
Yeah.
And I have this book on Amazon that also sells a couple copies a week. But for a host of reasons, I didn't make any money. Other than that, I didn't make any money in 2018
From the coaching business
from the
specifically.
coaching business,
All
right?
right. What about the other businesses? Like if you combined all your businesses together, because I know you got your hands in a few different things, how much gross revenue approximately did you do in the past 12 months?
So that would be multiple six figures. That's just sort of that's real estate stuff. That's family business stuff.
Mhm.
That would be in the multiple six figures. But from coaching,
Could you
zero.
give a range? 200,000 to 300,000,
In
4 to
that range.
5?
In that range.
Which one? 2 to 300?
Around 300, I would say.
Around 300,000. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool.
I
Okay.
don't I don't always take those distributions though,
I got
which
that.
is that's a whole other that's a part of the way the business is structured. But
No, definitely. In real estate, maybe you reinvest a lot of those distributions back into it, et cetera.
yeah.
Okay, got it. So 300,000. Let's get real about what's real, right? I want to hear more about the coaching business, because I think you just went there and you just got vulnerable and said, listen, I only brought in 10K in my coaching business because I was relying on a funnel as my entire business model. And I think this is a good conversation to have, because a lot of people are building that click funnel, and then they're like putting all the eggs in the basket. They get the perfect funnel. They hire the person to do it. I know I personally, in one of my businesses, I hired two ClickFunnels experts to build one funnel, and both of them sucked, and both of them I lost money on, and I never ended up with a finished funnel. So I know there's a lot of my listeners right now that are going through that right now. So what do you want to say about that and about your own personal experience with that?
So I would say I wasn't relying on the funnel. What I did was I became absent in the other pieces of my business, right? So the funnel was just sort of there, and it's sort of this funnel. I stopped the funnel this year, but it was a funnel that I kept saying, I got to get back to this. I got to get back and figure out this funnel. But it sold a couple copies a week, and it was a horrible funnel. I mean, when you got to the upsell page, it just hit you with a wall of text, right? They didn't have any pictures. It looked like a legal brief, right? And I'm a lawyer, so I was happy with it. I was like, hey, this is great. But the average person doesn't want to see a wall of text, but it still sold a couple copies. But I just abandoned the other part of my business. So I wasn't quite relying. I didn't make any offers, right? And that's critical. You have to make offers. You have to make offers. I stopped making offers. I stopped.
Why did you do that?
Um,
Like, that you have to make offers in order to grow your business. You knew
yeah.
it, but you stopped it anyway. Why? What was going on there?
Probably some existential crisis. I was also a university professor, so I was debating retiring from that job. I did some other consulting, some legal consulting, which is where I've also made more of my money. I think I lost track of my message. Um, I think a lot of things happened that sort of took me away from it. I got too self-conscious about some things. And I started when it got hard, I gravitated towards things that were easy. And this wasn't an easy thing for me, right? As I was building this business, you get confronted with things that are difficult. And I'll always say that entrepreneurship, it confronts you with you, right? Like the stuff that you've been able to figure out how to live around and build around, entrepreneurship brings it front and center. And you see yourself for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's what happened in 2018.
What did you learn really going back and just looking and reflecting on that, and maybe things you would have changed, done better, or are now going to do completely different this year? Because I think there's some good takeaways for our audience right now in some of that, because Startup Nation, maybe you're exactly where Cori was, where when things got hard in your business, you gravitate to the easy things. Mm-hmm. And then kind of like cross your fingers and hope it's going to work and hope it's going to pan out, when deep down, it's the hard things that are going to really get you the growth that you're looking for. So what do you look back on right now, Cori, and say, wow, I'm totally going to do this different?
So 2019 is a totally different year. It was like I was in a fog, and then I just came out of it. And then I've been back in touch with my community. I expected to have a bunch of unsubscribes and things like that. And I just laid it on the table. I said, you know what? I haven't talked to you guys in a really long time. That's my fault. It's not your fault. I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do all these things. And I refer to my community as a sticky tribe, right? This tribe shows me love in incredible ways that, they don't unsubscribe. I've heard of people who every time they send an email, they get dozens of unsubscribes. I might get one unsubscribe, maybe two. So I feel so it's affirmation for me that there's a need for what I'm doing, and they're just waiting for me to give them what they need. And they're hanging around, right? They email me back. They send me messages on Facebook. So they're waiting. They're like, they're telling me, come on, give us what we need. Give us what we need. And I love that. I love my tribe so much because they are sticky. I cannot run this tribe off. And I love that.
Wow. Startup Nation, I'm sure you're listening to Cori right now and you're like, I want a tribe like that. Like my tribe keeps running away from me. I'm chasing them. And Cori's like doing everything possible accidentally or subconsciously to kind of drive them off, and they're sticking anyway. Yeah. That's when you've really done well up front in finding the right avatar, the right type of person that you want to work with, and really offering a solution to the pain that they're in. What is that problem that you're solving? All right. So specifically, here's what I'm going to ask you, and I ask on the show, Cori. I want your top 3 tips or strategies. And maybe it's like, well, Joseph, I didn't do it right the first time, but here's my top 3 tips or strategies I'm going to apply this year that I know are going to grow my business to 100K, my coaching business. So give me those top 3 tips or strategies, and they may come from, hey, I learned this from failing.
Okay. So I said that 2019 is a totally different year from 2018. And I think so. I think I'm on track to cross 6 figures. 2017 was a good year. 2017 was a good year. And then 2018, I just, something happened. But I would say, I already said this. So the first one, this is a freebie, is make offers. Don't stop making offers. The worst that can happen is people say no. The best that can happen is that people tell you what's wrong with the offer, right? So that you can make a better offer next time. And sometimes people aren't thinking of the thing that you're about to offer them. And then when you offer it, they say, oh, that's awesome. Sign me up, right? So that's a freebie, make offers. I would say, so I have a bunch of things here. I took some notes before we started. I would say, to be authentic. Be authentic because God created you to be one particular person. an original of who you are, not a copy of all these other people. And there's so much copying in this industry right now.
So what does that look like specifically, right? Because we hear that all the time, be authentic, but like, what do I stop doing in order to be authentic? Or what do I start doing specifically practical to be authentic?
Okay, so I can tell you first, I'll tell you how you know that you're not being authentic. Okay, the first one is that you hate what you're doing. You hate how you're doing it. A second one is that you're struggling, right? God did not create us and give us an assignment and then want us to struggle in that thing. So if you're struggling, there's something about what you're doing that may not be aligned with who you are. So take the work to figure out who you are. And another way that you can know that that you're not being authentic is if you're hacking, right? There's this trend of hacking right now where everybody's copying everybody. If you are hacking, or God forbid, if you actually are copying, obviously that's a sign that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. If people can't tell the difference between your voice and the next guy's voice or the next gal's voice, you're not being authentic.
So what I'm hearing you say is, to be authentic is stop copying other people and start creating.
Start creating. Yeah. I mean, God is the original empire builder. And the first thing that he did was create something out of nothing. He created something from scratch. But here's the kicker. He made that thing in his own image. So as that thing is out floating around in the world, or in case of your product or your delivery, floating out there in the marketplace, people should recognize you through the thing that you've created.
Absolutely.
If they look at the thing you've created and they don't see you in it, then the thing is not adequately representing you.
Can I give an example of this?
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking about this podcast, right? So early on when I started as a podcast host, I wanted to model success, right? So I looked at other successful podcast hosts and I was like, okay, I want to be like them. So I started to copy their tonality, copy some of their lingo or whatever. And really it took about a year for me to find my own voice.
Yeah.
And now, to your point, start creating and made in your own image. It's like when you listen to the show, it has my personality in it because it has me in it, right?
It does.
It's like people know when you listen to First 100K, like this is the real deal. I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call my guest out if I feel they're not being authentic or if they're maybe coming across braggadocious but can't really back it up, and I'm gonna get right into it with provocative questions, and my audience knows that. That's also how I show up in life. Does that mean I have a ton of friends? No, I have a ton of acquaintances, and I have very few select friends who know my heart, but they also know that I'm very sharp, and not everyone is up for that. Not everyone is up for being called out on whatever blind spots and authenticity and everything like that. So, really bringing my voice into the podcast is being authentic. Is that right?
Absolutely. And the thing about that is that like attracts like, right? So the people that you will draw by being yourself are better customers.
Yes.
Right. They like you. They are signing up for the real deal Holyfield, right? They're not going to be surprised later when they're going to be, oh, this is exactly this guy's been who he's been since the very beginning. Right. And as we change, our authentic self has to change, right? We have to keep, and this goes to living in the past, right? Because you can also be inauthentic by reliving your heyday, right? Trying to show up at 45 the way you were at 25 or in, God forbid 15 when you were, on the football team or something. That's also inauthentic, right? So you have to keep up with yourself in that regard.
That's such a great distinction. And I know I am guilty of that myself, especially again, on this podcast, kind of showing up like, oh, hoorah. Like I was in my 20s when I was selling stuff and I was coming across as like a salesy guy. Yeah. And that's not who I am right now. It's like, now I'm just more postured and cool and confident and just look people in the eye and we do business. So really having to slow that down and not put this mask up. Was a lesson for me as well. All right. So we got the awesome. Authentic. What's your number 3 top tip or strategy to make your first 100K for my audience?
So I have an unpopular one, but I'm going to hold that for a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to give you another one sort of related to what we just said. One of the things that I am having to deal with in my own business and that I think a lot of people in business need to deal with is how easily we are fooled by nice people, gregarious people, extroverted people. And we want to follow them. We want to be like them, even if we're not a naturally gregarious or extroverted person, or we're not, overly nice. And here's the problem with it. Nice it's a social strategy. It's not a personality trait, right? It is something that people do because they want a particular social outcome, right? So for example, when you are returning something in the department store and you're past the deadline, what do? You be nice, you smile, right? We are so, as human beings, we are so susceptible to niceness, extroversion, and gregariousness, right? The problem is, those are the words that describe con artists, right? Con artists are always nice because it works.
They have the placid smile, right? They're looking to get something. And so they'll tell you the words that you want to hear in order to get whatever their agenda is, correct?
Yeah. And I think that how that translates into the coaching and the online space is that the people who build the biggest tribes sometimes are the most gregarious, the most extroverted people, right? They lead these huge tribes. And even if they're personally introverted, when they come online, when they come on Facebook, when they're doing a webinar, they're very extroverted and bubbly and all this kind of stuff. And people fall for it hook, line, and sinker. And my advice to people would be to beware, because this is a business that is full of charlatans right now. And they all appear the same way: nice, extroverted, gregarious. I would say to people, beware, because remember, that is exactly how con artists are. And there's a lot of it going on right now. There's a lot of unsustainable advice in the marketplace right now. And when you're new and you're trying to figure out where to go and who to follow, you can be fooled by those things, right? So people need to look a little bit deeper, I think.
Okay. So for my listener right now, you're saying stop being nice. What should they do?
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying, so here's the problem with nice. To people that we perceive as nice, we attribute to them lots of positive qualities that niceness alone does not warrant, right? So when someone is nice to us, it makes us feel better about ourselves, right? So sometimes it fills a void that we have, which is why when you ever have an interaction with somebody and the first look that they give you is not a nice one, and you're like, oh, I don't like this person?
Sure.
Well, what happened is that they just didn't affirm you to you, right? They didn't send that message that you may need, that you're okay. Mm-hmm. And so we don't like them. But when people are nice to us, we receive that as them saying, I like you, you're okay. And so then what we do is we assign to that person a lot of positive attributes like kindness, integrity, authenticity, gentleness, generousness. Just because someone is nice to us, we assign a lot of things to them that they haven't earned.
Got it.
So I'm just saying, don't be fooled by it.
Don't be fooled, Startup Nation. Don't be fooled by the big smile and people just looking you in the eye and saying, oh, you're the best, and all that self-flattery. Look beneath the skin. That's what I'm hearing Cori say here. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your coaching business specifically, Cori?
Not being clear early enough on my message, which had something to do with why I stopped making offers. I would say that those two together.
Got it. And how did you get clear? What's the specific practical thing you did to get clear on your message? So my message has two parts, right? The second part is kind of the meatier part. The first part it's kind of soft and fluffy. And so the problem with it is, and was, that people have a false sense of completion there. So when they hear the first part, they're like, oh, well, I already know about this. I don't need her for that. And the truth is that they don't. They don't know, and they do need me, but they think they don't. They have a false sense of completion there. So then people wouldn't get to the second piece of the message, which is the meatier piece of the message. So I've just had to rework the delivery, and I worked the first piece that was giving the false sense of completion into, it's now a component of the second piece, and that has made a big difference. So a messaging problem, So let me speak to that for a second, because Startup Nation, I think Cori brings up a great point here. And I see this with some of my guests. I see it with some of my clients, and I used to do it all the time. And it's simply called burying the lead, right? And it's so many times the very thing, like in your messaging, when you start to speak about the pain that your customer is going through, and then what your offer is and the solution that you help them with, right? And many people, maybe yourself right now as you're listening, you leave that towards the end of your offer and you start with all this hype in the beginning. Kind of like what Cori is saying. It's like, oh, I do all this, I do all this, I do all this. And then right at the end, you're like, oh, and I can help you specifically with this pain that you're in and remove it in 30 days. People want to hear that up front. So look to see right now in your messaging, are you burying the lead? Meaning, are you putting it at the back, at the end? And if so, how can you bring it up to the front so that it grabs their attention? And as soon as you speak about that pain, they go, hey, that's me. I have that pain. You can help. How can you help? And that's what you want. That's how you bring them into your funnel, into your group, your tribe, etc. All right, let's wrap this up, Cori. Why do you think that 90% of entrepreneurs are struggling to make that first 100K?
I think because they're laboring under business models that were never intended for a person like them. So it goes back to my first one. You have to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what your temperament is. Temperament is a big one.
Yeah,
you
for
have
sure.
to have the temperament for the thing that you're doing. And we've all been in situations where we've said, I don't have the temperament for this. Or have you ever met someone on their job and they are so ill-suited for the job that you walk away and say, this person does not have the temperament for that job?
Oh, absolutely. You got a person in customer service that literally is just bitter and angry. You're like, why are you the face of the company? I don't get that.
That's a perfect example.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
What?
can I add some? Okay,
Sure.
we're short on time. I'll let you lead. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. What is your number one daily habit that has helped you grow your customer base and build that tribe that is so sticky right now that they won't leave you even when you push them away?
I make sure that they know that they can reach me at any time in any way, and I respond immediately. And I get a couple reach outs per week, and I respond immediately to them. 100% accessible.
So when you say they can reach you anytime, does that mean like they can reach you at 4 a.m. via text or something like that? I've heard entrepreneurs do this. Like literally they open themselves up and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, don't you want to have like a life outside of business? Like that's such a dangerous thing to do. Is that what you do? Or is
No,
it
I
different?
don't. So people can email me, and then when I wake up, as soon as I see it, I will respond to it. But I have a different perspective on that. I am a person who thinks that the laptop lifestyle, working 2 hours from the beach per week, that's not a biblical concept, right? It's not a part of the traditional American ethos, right? We are hardworking people. We are not a midday siesta type of place. And for some reason, there's this new idea that we should be able to all make 7 figures while working 4 hours a month or something like that. I don't think it's biblical. I think it's demonic. But that's a whole other conversation. So I know people are trying to get their time back, but the Bible is very clear about working hard. The key is to find something that you can work hard at and lose yourself in, but it doesn't feel like you're working. It doesn't feel like you're working.
Got it. I want to jump more into that topic, but we don't have the time to do it.
I know.
All right. So welcome to the hustle round, my favorite part of the show. This is where I'm going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. So again, we're speaking with Cori Willis. You can find her at CoriWillis.com. That's CoriWillis.com. All right, Cori, what's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
Being able to lose myself doing things that I love.
Got that. What's your least favorite thing?
The administrative part.
Yeah, I get that. What are you most afraid of?
Dying with my gifts undeveloped.
Well said. What did you spend way too much time doing in your 20s?
Striving, thinking the grass was greener, climbing.
Got it. And what did you spend way too much time doing your first year in this coaching business?
Menial tasks, Canva.
So like designing stuff.
Design, yeah.
graphics, ads, all that stuff. What
Right.
secret fear do you have about people?
That they won't get to know me and love me. Because
Mm.
I'm a two-step, I'm a two-contact kind of person, right? You have to meet me a second time.
Yeah, I'm probably a 10 contact, 10 step. It's like if you're still around by step 9, we're probably going to be best friends forever.
Right. Yeah.
What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
Um, trust my instincts. Trust my instincts.
Got it. What's a new habit you want to form?
Eat less. I think I said that last time. Eat
Okay, got
less.
it. And what's
I'm
a bad
still working on it.
still working? What's a bad habit you want to break?
I don't have a natural need to leave the house.
To leave what?
The house. The house.
To leave the house. So
Yeah.
you're a homebody. You stay at home too much.
Yes.
Well, girl, get out, man. Be social. You're preaching to people here.
I have no natural need to get out.
Yeah, I get that. Got it. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Oh, surrendered, committed, and creative.
Got it. And pick 3 words to describe who you were your first year in this business.
Arrogant, excited, sort of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and corporate.
Got that. And last question. If you could come back to life after you died, Cori, look your family and friends in the eye and give them only one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
Go for it.
Go for it, Startup Nation. Just go for it, darn it. And Cori, any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about making their first 100K in the next 12 months?
I think it's important to have 2 to 3 streams of income, but no more. Don't have 10 like me, because what ends up happening is that you don't do any of them as well as they need to be done.
Girl, look at you preaching like you're the shoemaker with holes in her shoes.
I literally have a hole in this shoe that I have on. Yeah.
Got it. And what's the best way for Startup Nation to get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Cori Willis. That's Cori with an I, CoriWillis.com. I'm on Facebook. I think it's at Willis Christian Business, something like that.
You're supposed to know that, right?
Right, enough said. Yeah.
All right, Startup Nation, this is a great example of you don't have to be perfect to be successful in business. Okay, Cori's doing it. She's making over $300,000 a year, right? And last year she had a rough year. She kind of went on sabbatical, but she has multiple streams of income coming in. So as one business, her coaching business wasn't really flourishing, she still had that revenue generation coming in. So do the same thing for yourself. She recommends don't go more than 3 streams. Some would challenge that. They say you want to have at least 6 streams. I don't know which is better, but do what works for you. And Startup Nation, do you love this show? Do you love listening to your first 100K with me, myself, and I, Joseph Warren? Do you love guests like Cori Willis who come on and just speak, truth and don't try to flatter you with all, the hype and look at them and look how great they are? But I think you see most of my guests are real humble. And I think this is why they're winning. They're transparent, they're humble, they don't hide their scars, and they're able to speak to yours as you're in it. So if you love this show, go ahead and subscribe to the show if you haven't done so yet, and share the show with people that you love and care about. If you need any type of spiritual coaching, if you're going through any kind of breakdowns in your family, in your relationship, in your marriage, or with disconnected with your kids or with your creator, with God, this is what I offer is one-on-one coaching. And I got to tell you, I work specifically with Christian business owners and they are loving it. Just breakthrough after breakthrough. I can't believe I get to do this. I started this business in January, and what an awesome business to be in, just really watching God transform lives. So find what lights you up like a Christmas tree. I think I have Christmas year round now, so it's pretty awesome. But if you're interested in jumping on a spiritual clarity call with me for 30 minutes, just to get clear on what it is you want in your life, and if we want to work together, go to josephwarren.net. That's josephwarren.net, and just schedule a call with me. Cori Willis, thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's peace, God's love, and God's joy in your life, my dear.
Thank you. Same to you.
Cheers. Startup Nation, you cannot show up authentically in your business without building faith in your business. If you want to have that conversation on the faith side of things, go check out my other podcast called Broken Catholic. On that show, I interview all different guests about why the world isn't working right now. Plus, I tackle unspeakable topics that you may secretly struggle with, but won't admit. We gotta get your faith right to get your business right. Go to brokencatholic.com. I'm Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you right back here next week.